This is Sybert signing in, and welcome to the Red Alert 3 May Ladder Wars. That's right, the Ladder Wars are back, and the top 4 for May are, in the number 1 spot, Mate's Awesome A. Taking up the number 2 is Mate's Eminence. That's right, Mate controls the top 2 spots for May. The number 3 spot goes to our Super Ladder Wars victor, Sap Dan Call. In the number 4 spot, we have Lawmaker. Dan Call opted not to play, and was replaced by number 5, Yuui. That's right, our top 4 for this month is Awesome A, Eminence, Lawmaker, and Yuui. Our first series is between number 1 and number 3, Awesome A and Lawmaker. Game 1 is on Fire Island, and we've got Awesome A playing as the Empire and Lawmaker as the Allies. Both of these players are sticking with the standard playbook, Awesome A going for 5 Tengus before his 3rd refinery, while Lawmaker gets 3 Apollos and a Vindicator to help him deal with the Empire threat. Awesome A goes for the harass, but Lawmaker locks it down hard with Apollos and his Vindicators taking down every Tengu with only a single Harvester loss. We've got a Tier 2 tech up from both players as Cryos and Strikers are brought out onto the field. Lawmaker snipes a Harvester but gets pushed back to his base, and the Tengu control from Awesome A is too good. Awesome A takes down over 6,000 worth of air units before going to harass. Lawmaker rebuilds in time to push away Awesome A, but he loses his 4th refinery as Awesome A establishes his own 4th. Lawmaker is able to trade very efficiently with Awesome A as Lawmaker snipes a Harvester and just a bit later snipes a refinery while establishing his own 5th base in the south. The Cryo Vindicator combo swings into Awesome A's base and his army is nowhere near to defend. Awesome A tries to push into the base of Lawmaker, but Lawmaker's defense is too good and Lol takes game number 1. We're off to Cabana Republic, where Lawmaker is feeling a bit cheeky and chooses random, landing with Soviets, while Awesome A is the Empire on the right side. It's Crane first and a super reactor before the 3rd for Lawmaker, while Awesome A goes for a more standard build order to punish the risky opener of Lawmaker. The early 3rd is smashed down, and despite the Twin Blades and MiGs being able to crush the Tengus, Awesome A still does economic damage and takes a 3rd. Both players want a superior economy, so as Lawmaker reestablishes his 3rd and takes a 4th, Awesome A takes to the high ground for his 4th. Awesome A forces the cell of the MCV, and Lawmaker takes down the 5th of Awesome A. But all the while, Awesome A is smashing hammer tanks, bullfrogs, MiGs, and the airfield, only to be completely cleaned up by Lawmaker's returning forces. A huge swell of ground forces allows Awesome A to stomp into Lawmaker's base. But Lawmaker figures how to micro, and he loses most of his army. Awesome A regroups and Lawmaker goes for the harass, meaning his MiGs are way across the map, allowing extra damage to be done by the Strikers. The battles are extremely close, but Awesome A is finally able to brush Lawmaker off the map and even the score to 1-1. Game 3 is on Snowplow, and Lawmaker is once again as the Allies in the north versus Awesome A as the Empire in the south. Lawmaker goes airfield before first ref and wants to get Vindicators in the air as soon as possible. Awesome A goes for Tier 2, but he doesn't have enough to contend the Cryocopter combo harassing his Harvester, and Awesome A is forced to sell his MCV as Lawmaker redeploys just offshore of Awesome A's main. The Striker VX goes down, and so does Awesome A's hope of winning this match, as Lawmaker takes a 2.5-minute point to get a leading score for game number 3. On to Game 4, which takes us to Temple Prime, and Awesome A is once again the Empire against Lawmaker as the Soviets. Lawmaker establishes a 3rd in the middle, while Awesome A goes for a double expand to the corners. The Terror Drone harass isn't enough to quite even the economic game, so instead Lawmaker goes for his own 4th while initiating a harass of each corner expansion. Awesome A has been massing tsunamis and pushes forward into the center of the map, crushing a refinery on the way to Lawmaker's base. Lawmaker barely holds the line with an orbital drop and hammer tanks, forcing Awesome A to sound the retreat. But as he turns to run, Lawmaker's Terror Drone micro locks down 2 tsunamis and a VX. Ooh, heavy losses for Awesome A. 3 more VXs get smashed down while trying to catch the MCV, and Lawmaker destroys the water expansions while taking his own. Awesome A makes a big push, taking down production structures, but Lawmaker still has a MiG in the air, and Awesome A has no chance but to leave the game. Lawmaker advances to the finals. On to the second round 1 match, where you'll see Yuui and Eminence fighting for a shot at the finals in another best of 5 series. Game 1 is on Infinity Isle, and Yuui is your allied representative and Eminence is your Empire. Sorry, Soviet fans. Eminence heads to the middle, throwing down a Mecha Bane, keeping Yui's Peacekeepers at bay with walls while he establishes a 3rd. Yuui is going for an airfield and uses a Prospector to expand to the center ridge while also expanding to the water. It's a risky move, but will his Air Force be enough to make it worth it? We'll see. Eminence gets eyes on the MCV and deploys the Naval Yard as a preventative measure. But Yuui deploys his refinery on the ridge and then moves his MCV, leaving the water empty. Eminence has already built 2 Yaris before he realizes the water is empty and he has to sell his Naval Yard. Oh, the mind games! Yuui starts pushing the middle and destroying walls, accidentally splashing down one of his own tanks, but Eminence goes for a somewhat successful counterattack. Eminence's constant walls allow Yuui to bring his MCV up to the front line and deploy multiple multi-gunner turrets. Eminence gathers his forces and attacks, but while he has great crushes, Yui's tanks and defenses are too strong. Yuui even throws down a barracks and takes Eminence's oil derrick just for fun. Eminence's third refinery goes down, and since he has no fourth, he simply cannot match Yuui. Yuui takes map number 1 in a tremendous victory. Game 2 takes us to Cabana Republic, and we've got the same matchup, no random for either of these players. Once again, Allies versus Empire. Eminence starts off game number 2 with 1 dojo, followed up by 3 refineries, which is spotted by Yui's scout. Yuui is going for a more aggressive dual racks peacekeeper spam, followed by a Riptide Javelin strike, capturing Eminence's oil derrick once again. Eminence's third is sold off, Yuui expands to the water, but Eminence crash lands Yui's air force. A proxy airfield is upset by Eminence's Yari, and Yuui loses more aircraft to Eminence's attacking VXs. Yuui is scrambling to stay alive, but the airfield goes down and Yuui leaves the game. Which brings us to Snowplow, and Yuui is in the north versus Eminence in the south of this frozen wasteland. Early infantry kills and oil derricks put Eminence in a very slight lead, as Yuui drops an aquatic airfield, following it up with a turret push and an additional proxy airfield. Eminence runs his MCV, entering low power mode, which slows his already limited production as bombing runs, turrets, and engineer caps ruin Eminence's base. Eminence pushes out with a mass infantry strike, and Yuui forgets that he has extra peacekeepers. Eminence busts up Yuui, forcing Yuui back onto the water. Yuui tries to rebuild, but is being chased by Eminence's infantry. Eminence forces Yuui to sell off his old main base, but Eminence just can't quite stabilize his own economy. Yuui takes water expansions, and Eminence unfortunately misplaces his refinery, allowing Yuui to freeze down Eminence and take game number 3. Temple Prime is the location of Game 4, with Yuui leading by 1 map against mates Eminence. Both players start with lots of infantry and trade oil derricks a time or two. Eminence transitions to Tengus as Yuui sets up a third on the ridge, but Yuui falters and loses aircraft to Eminence while Eminence drops onto harvesters. Too many Tengus are dominating the air, and Yui's economy is shot, so there's no turrets to hold off the aggression from Eminence. In just 4 minutes, Eminence even the scores and takes us to the ace match, which is on Fire Island. Eminence is in the south against Yuui in the north. An early oil derrick lead is taken by Eminence, and Yuui goes for a quick 4th refinery before War Factory. Eminence goes for 3 ref Tengu mass and knocks down Yui's forces and then harasses some harvesters. Tier 2 Mecha Bay and a 4th refinery are bought by Eminence as he uses Yui's lack of a ground army to constantly harass with minimal losses. Yuui defends well and he manages to score some kills, but a 5th refinery is built and Eminence can afford to lose some units, especially while sinking a refinery to Davy Jones. Yuui takes a 5th refinery of his own and starts to hold Eminence back, scoring kills against the Mecha army. It's not enough to hold the southern base, and Yuui loses his expansion. Eminence pushes on and harasses multiple locations with infantry and agile Tengus while expanding to a 6th refinery. Yuui techs up to tier 3 and gets Athena cannons, allowing him to engage extremely efficiently against Eminence's greater numbers. Constant refinery deaths caused by Eminence are too much, and Eminence's final dual mecha, dual racks army breaks through Yui's base, closing this epic series out 3-2. Eminence advances to the final, and Yuui joins Awesome A in 3rd place. Which brings us to the finals, pitting Eminence against Lawmaker in a best-of-5 series, starting game 1 on the classic Infinity Isle. We've got Lawmaker as the allies in the west versus Eminence as the Empire in the east. Eminence opens with a standard dual ref before expanding to the ridge with a 3rd refinery and Mecha Bay before 2nd power plant. What's that? What? Did Eminence wall off? Of course he did! Lawmaker is going for a cryo rush turret push, forcing Eminence to sell his MCV. Tengus are being pumped out, but they're in limited supply as away goes the Mecha Bay. Lawmaker's economy is even worse off as Eminence takes down the Harvester. With no production structures, every Tengu is literally irreplaceable, but Lawmaker is able to swat 3 out of the sky. This forces Eminence to do the only thing he can: mass harvesters for the win. Or maybe not so much, as slowly but surely Lawmaker takes down the harvesters with his Vindicators, taking an early point lead over Eminence. Game 2 is on Cabana Republic, and Lawmaker is playing the random Soviets while Eminence is sticking with Empire. Lawmaker goes man spam for the center map control, followed by tech and an airfield. Eminence gets a 3rd base and goes for a Tengu VX harass squad that is fairly effective, but the true power is forcing Lawmaker to defend one spot while tank busters trash the expansion. Eminence has simply got too many forces and Lawmaker GG's out, taking us to game number 3, on Snowplow. Eminence is in the north and Lawmaker is in the south, going for an airfield before refinery, and Eminence is going for a quick MCV move to the high ground with a mecha bay. Lawmaker may have gotten his airfield before refinery, but he goes for 3 refineries before tier 2, and his delayed cryocopter allows Eminence to get up plenty of VXs for defense. Lawmaker takes down a harvester, and then loses $4,800 worth of his Air Force to Tengus and VXs. Lawmaker decides it's time for a turret push, and Eminence agrees, especially since he snipes down Lawmaker's MCV, while sustaining minimal losses himself. With no MCV, 1 airfield, and a barracks, Lawmaker cannot compete, and Game 3 goes to Eminence. We're back to Fire Island for game number 4, as Eminence is in the south and Lawmaker is in the north. Eminence opens with some infantry and goes for a forward mecha bay, while Lawmaker gets a naval yard and riptide before airfield. Eminence skips Tengus entirely and goes for tsunamis for his first attacks, mixing in Imperial Warriors for extra firepower. A Riptide Javelin Strike counterattacks, but Eminence has got the MCV in his clutches. The refinery gets trashed by Lawmaker, but then Lawmaker's MCV goes down! Imperial Warriors start directly assaulting the aircraft, and Lawmaker leaves the game. Eminence is your May Ladder Wars champion. Thank you for watching, and be sure to head over to GameReplays.org for more action and to take part in the community.